Okay, good day, ladies and gents. Today we're going to look at October-November 2003, paper 2 for IGCSE. Okay, mathematics. Okay, let's have a look. Our first question says, work out 2 plus 12 over 4 plus 3 times 8. I plug that into my calculator and I get an answer of 1/2. Okay. The second question says the altitude of Death Valley is negative 86 meters and the altitude of Mount Whitney is 4,480 meters. Calculate the difference between these two altitudes. Okay, so I've got a 0 here. This is negative 86 meters. That one is 4418. It's not according to scale. This would be up to 0 would be 86 units and this up to 4418. I can add the two together and to find my answer, so 4504 meters. Okay, good. So let's have a look at the next question. Let me move my paper up. Okay, the first 5 terms of a sequence is 4, 9, 16, 25, 36. Find the 10th term and find the nth term. Okay, so I'm going to find the nth term first. This can be written as 2 squared plus 3 squared, 4 squared, 5 squared, and 6 squared. So therefore, I can use arithmetic sequence Tn equals a plus n minus 1d, where a is my first term, so 2 plus n minus 1, and my common difference is 1. That will give me Tn equals let me quickly do that, 2 plus n minus 1, that would be n plus 1, okay, but that was disregarding the square. So if I want to write the nth term, thus it would be n plus 1 squared. Good, so now we want to find the 10th term, so I have Tn equals n plus 1 squared. So I'm going to substitute it in for 10. So T10 would be 10 plus 1 squared, and the answer would be 121. Okay, let's move these out of the way. They were accidentally printed over 3 pages, so not so good. Okay. Now the next question says rearrange the quantities in order with the smallest first. And here I have 1/8%, it's very small, 1/8%. And then that number is 3 over 2,500, and we have that one. So now I can rewrite this as a decimal value. That would give me the 1/8% is 0.00125. The 3 over 2,500 is 0.0012, and we have that as decimal form. Now let's number it. That would be my first one, that would be second and third, and I have to write my original value down, so the answer there would be 3 over 2,500. That would be 1/8%, and here I have 0.00126 as an answer. Okay, good. Let's move to the next question. The question says the universal set equals negative 2.5, negative 1, square root 2, 3.5, square root 30, and square root 36. They ask us, or they give us some information. They say set x is integers and set y is irrational numbers. So integers is just whole numbers, either negative or positive. So look at that, negative 1 will fit the bill. And we have square root 36 that I know would be 6, so square root 36 would be also part of x. Now irrational numbers is not numbers that cannot be defined exactly, and we know that square root 2 would be one of those. And if I plug square root 30 into my calculator, press ST, I also get a number that can continue forever, so square root 30 would also be an irrational number. Okay, let's move to question 6. Abdul invested $240 with when the rate of simple interest was R% per year. After M months, the investment was I dollars. Write down and simplify an expression for I in terms of M and R. Okay, so I know simple interest. Simple interest equals principal times rate times time over 100. I'm just going to substitute that in. Simple interest will now be I equals my principal amount is 240 times R, that will now be small r, times my time would be M months, but M in terms of months, and normally time is in terms of years, so it would be divided by 12, and it will still be over 100. Okay, if I simplify this, I will get I equals RM over 5, and that would be my answer. Okay, good. A baby, question 7. A baby was born with a mass of 3.6 kilograms. After 3 months, this mass had increased to 6 kilograms. Calculate the percentage increase in the mass of a baby. So we know percentage increase equals the new minus the old over the old times 100. My new mass is 6 kilograms minus my 3.6 kilograms over my 6 old, that's 3.6 kilograms times 100. If I plug that into my calculator, I get an answer of 66.7%. Okay. The next question is a question on indices, and they say 3 to the power x equals a third. Write down the value of x. So what do we know? We know that if I have 1 over a, it can be written as a to the power negative 1. So I'm going to write a third back to a power 3 as a base 3 to the power negative 1. I know if my bases are the same, I can set the exponents equal to one another. So thus x would be equal to negative 1. Okay. The next question say give us some information. It says 5 to the power y equals k. Find 5y plus 1 in terms of k. So we know that 5y plus 1 can be rewritten as 5y times 5 to the power 1. Why? Because I've got an index rule that says am times an would be am plus n. Okay, so if I have the same basis and I multiply it, I can rewrite it as a to the power m plus n. So we're just rearranging it. I know that 5 to the power y is k. There I have 5 to the power y. We know it would be something k. I multiply it with 5. So if I want to make this equal, I have to multiply it with 5 as well. So that will give me 5k as the answer. Okay, question 9. 32,493 people were at a football match. Write this number to the nearest 100. So 32493. Units, tens, hundreds, to the nearest thousand, thousands. Okay. The 4 is less than 5, so we will keep it as it is, and that's my answer. Okay. Now, at another match, there were 25,500 people. Correct to the nearest 100. Complete the inequality about n and the number of people in this match. So we know that we have to find an upper bound and a lower bound of those numbers. Let me put it up a little bit more so it should be more in focus. 25,500. So my upper bound would be 25,550 because it's correct to the nearest 100, and my lower bound would be 25,450, and that's the answer. So 25,450 and 25,550 would be my answer. Okay. Good, let's move to the next question. Keep going, guys. You're doing very well. Question 10. When, when cars go around the bend, there is a force F between the tires and the ground. F varies directly. So F varies directly as the square of a speed V, as V squared. Okay, so we can write it F equals K V squared. When V equals 40, F equals 18. So 18 equals K and 40 squared. We can simplify for K and we find the answer. If we just do that on my calculator, 9 over 800. Now let's rewrite that. F equals 9 over 800. And then what is the value of V? 32. And it must still be squared. So F would be 11.52. And that's the answer that we are required, 11.5. Okay. Good. In April 2001, a bank gave the following exchange rates. €1 is 0.623 British pounds, and €1 is also 1,936 Italian lire. Calculate how much £1 was worth in lire. So we have lire 1936, and we're going to divide it by the pounds, 0.623. And that gives us an answer of 3,110. Okay, and that would be the lira. Okay, calculate how much 1 million lira was worth in pounds. So I've got 1 million divided by the 3,110, and that would give me an answer of 322 pounds. Okay, good. The next question is an awesome graph. Okay, the diagram shows the graph of y equals sine x, and this is, I am definitely just going to do that in a color for you. The sine would be this beautiful green thing. Okay, and the cosine one would be staying in black there. Okay, so sine x equals cosine x. Where would two graphs be equal to one another? Where they intersect. And I can just read the value down. It would be 45 degrees. And if I read the two graphs intersect there, it would be 225 degrees. Okay, now the next question says sine x equals sine 22.5 degrees, but x cannot be 22.5. So I've got to find what is the value. So sine x equals, I plug that part in my calculator. I found 0.3826 and some more digits. Sine inverse of 0.3826 equals x, and I found x equals 22.5. But we said that x cannot be 22.5, so I've got to use one of my sine identities. So the sine identity is, but the first identity that we have to use is 180 degrees minus theta equals sine theta. Okay, so we have 180 minus 22.5 equals then our angle, that is 157.5 degrees, and that is my answer that I've got to write down. Okay, question 13. We have two cones that are similar. Write down the value of L, and we have diameters and then the slanted height. So I will write L over 4 equals 8 over 11. I cross multiply, and that would give me 11L equals 32. Divide by 11L would be 5.5. Okay, and that is the answer. Okay, now they ask us to when full, a larger cone. Did I do that right? I hope so. Okay. When full, the larger cone contains 172 centimeters cubed of water. How much water does the smaller cone contain? So 172 centimeters cubed, and this is just x centimeters cubed. Okay, so we need to write a ratio there. So I will write x over 172 equals 4 over 8. Okay, but this is in 3 dimensions, so it's got to be cubic root. Okay, now we're just going to solve for x. So x, the cubic root of x equals the cubic root of 172 times 4 over 8. And if I want to get rid of that cubic root, I have to cube the whole thing. So thus x would be 21.5. Okay. Now the next question is, write 3 over x minus 2 over x plus 1 as a single fraction. So we're looking at a single fraction, one denominator, and I have to have x and x plus 1 in my denominator. The 3 and the negative 2 will stay there. What did I have to add or multiply with x to have x and x plus 1? It is x plus 1. What do I have to multiply with x plus 1 to have x and x plus 1? It is just the x. So now we can simplify that. One denominator, x plus 1, it gives me 3x plus 3 minus 2x. That would give me a result of x plus 3 over x and x plus 1. And that's the final answer. Then they ask us to solve for this equation. So I'm going to use this one that I found, or my solution there. So x plus 3 equals x plus 1, and they say it's equal to 0. So if I multiply on both sides of my denominator, so x plus 1 and x plus 1, that will eliminate, and 0 times anything would be 0. So x plus 3 will be all by itself, and I will have 0. So the value of x would be negative 3. Okay, good. Let's move on to another one. We're at question 15. We're going really at a nice space. There we go. And they ask us, but they say PT and PU are tangents to an arc of a circle at T and at U. Okay, using a straight edge and a compass only, construct a bisector of angle TPU. So I've got my compass here, and I'm just going to put it there and mark from here to markings. Good, and now my straight edge. It's going to do it there with a Koki so that you can see it a little bit better. I leave in all the markings, okay? If I erase the markings, it would be incorrect and I won't earn the 2 marks. And then by drawing another line accurately, find the center of the circle and label it O. So I know that from the point of tangency, if I draw that from the point of tangency to my that, there you go, that would be O. Okay, good, and we are done with that question. Just move that one up. Okay, the straight line graph, y equals 3x plus 6. Cut the x-axis at A and the y-axis at B. Find the coordinates of A and the coordinates of B. So the coordinates of A would be the x-intercept, where we set y equal to 0. So 0 equals 3x minus 6. Therefore, 3x equals 6, and x must be equal to 2. So y is 0 and x is 2. For B, we have a y-intercept where x would be equal to 0. So y equals 3 times 0 minus 6. Y would be negative 6. So 0 and negative 6. The next question says, calculate the length of AB. So we know we need to use the distance formula to find the length. And the distance formula is x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. I substitute the values in, and we will have 2 minus 0 squared plus 2 minus 0 squared and 0 minus 6 squared. And if I tap that into my calculator, I get 2 square root 10. But that can be simplified or estimated as 6.32 as an answer. Now the next question says, M is the midpoint of AB. Find the coordinates of M. We know midpoint equals a half x1 plus x2 and a half y1 plus y2. That would give me a half 2 plus 0 and a half 0 plus negative 6. And the coordinates therefore would be 1 and negative 3. So 1 and negative 3. Okay. Question 17. Question 17 gives us a circle with some angles in it, and they say ABCD is a cyclic quadrilateral, so it means that the vertices of this quadrilateral is on the circumference of a circle. AD is parallel to BC, and the diagonals DB and AC meets at X, and angle ACD is 20 degrees and angle ACB is 62 degrees. Now they ask us to calculate several things. The first one is angle DBA. Angle DBA. So this angle. Well, let's have a look. I've got an arc there. I've got an angle that are subtended by that arc, and another angle that are subtended by the same arc. So these two would be equal to one another, so I know that would be 20 degrees. So 20 degrees is what we are looking for. Okay. Now the next one, angle DAB. Angle DAB, we're looking at that one. We know that we've got two parallel lines. Parallel line, this angle here would be also 62 degrees. Now what do I know how to, the opposite angles of a cyclic quadrilateral adds up to 180 degrees. So I have 20 plus 62 plus 62 plus, we can just call this angle Y. Y equals 180 degrees. So I can solve for Y. Y would be 56. Okay, but that is not what I want. So I want angle DAB. Angle DAB, it is the 62 plus the 36, and I have to calculate that, and that is 98 degrees. Okay, so the next one, they ask us to find angle DAC. Angle DAC, we already found that, 62. Okay, then next one is angle AXB. AXB, the interior angles of a triangle add up to 360. We just subtract from 100, add up to 180 degrees. So we just subtract the 36 and the 20 from 180, and we found that one is 124 degrees. So I'm just going to jot that down here as 124 degrees. My last question here is angle CDB. Angle CDB. Let's have a look. We've got another arc that subtends angles. Let me quickly just get a another Koki and mark it. That arc is subtending an angle over there, and it's subtending an angle there. So this one and that one would be equal to one another, and therefore I can say that angle CDB, is also 36 degrees. Okay, and that's the end of this question. We're nearly there. Just hang in a little bit more. We got question 18. Okay, the population of Europe is 580 million people. The land area of Europe is 5,900,000. It's quite a large number, square kilometers. Write this in standard form. So it would be 5.8 times 10 to the power 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 5.8 times 10 to the power 8 would be the answer. Calculate the number of people per square kilometer to the nearest whole number. Okay, and there I have 580, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, divide by 590,000, and if I do the calculation, I get 98.3, but that's not to the nearest whole number, so it will be just 98. Okay, the next one, calculate the number of square meters per person. So I've got to use this kilometers per hour, kilometers, and change that to meters squared. So 5910, and I know that I've got to multiply it with 1,000 and another 1,000, so that it is now meters squared. Divide by the number 5.8 times 10 to the power 8. I'm just going to write it like that, and you can plug that into your calculator and you get the answer of 10172. Okay, the next one, question 19. They give us two functions, a function fx and a function gx, and this is a composite function. That means that I'm going to insert one function into another. F is my base function, so fx equals 1 minus 2x. Wherever there's an x, I'm going to insert gx into that. So f gx is going to be 1 minus 2. Where there's an x, I'm going to insert gx. Then they wanted the x value as 7, so 1 minus 2, 7 divided by 2. If I do my calculations there, I get -6. Okay, the next question is where fx is equal to gx, so I'm literally just going to put the two equations equal to one another, start solving for it. Multiply both sides by 2, so that will give me 2 minus 4x equals 4. Add 4x on both sides, that would give me 5x equals 2, and x would be 2 over 5. And that's the answer that I want. The next question says the graphs y equals fx and y equals gx meets at M. Find the coordinates of M. I already know that the x coordinate would be 2 over 5. We need to find the y coordinate, and I can use any one of these equations to find the y. So y equals 2 over 5 divided by 2, and if I do the calculation, I will get 0.2 or 1/5. Okay, it's the same as 1/5, and both, it doesn't matter if we have written that as 0.4 as well, it's the same answer. And the two coordinates is then 0.4 and 0.2. Okay, question 20, and we're nearly there. 2 more questions to go. The questions gives us there, they say the diagram OA is 2/3 OP, OA is 2/3 of P, and then that means that that would be a third, and OB is 3/4. OB is 3/4, and OQ is actually Q, so I'm just going to write that as Q, so that would be a quarter Q as well. Okay, in terms of P and Q, form the following: AQ. So we're going from A to Q, that would be negative 2/3 P, and plus 2Q, a full Q. Oh, negative 2/3 P plus a Q, and that would be my answer. Okay, BP, I'm going from B to P, so I'm going against the traffic because it is OQ that is Q, so it's negative 3/4 Q, plus I need a full P over there, and that's the answer, negative 3/4 Q plus P. Okay. The next question says find QT in terms of P and Q, and they say BT is a third. BT is 1/3 of that one. That means that that would be 2/3 of that part. Okay. So now we have a quick look. So QT would be negative 1/4 Q plus 1/3 of BP, and BP is negative 3/4 Q plus P. Now I just need to simplify that. QT equals negative 1/4 Q plus, that would be negative actually, negative 3/12 Q, that's another quarter, plus 1/3 P. And I have negative 1/4 and negative 1/4, that would give me negative 2/4, that is negative 1/2 Q plus 1/3 P. Okay, it is best to do this on your calculator. If you're going to make an error, rather get it right, do it on your calculator. So negative 1/2 Q plus 1/3 P. The little fraction to add the two fractions all together. Okay, last one. Okay, Mariana goes to the shop to buy loaves of bread and cake. The one loaf of bread costs 60 cents and one cake costs 80 cents. She buys X loaves and Y cakes. She must not spend more than $12. So we know that $12 is the same thing as 1,200 cents. Because if my equation is in terms of cents, my answer would also need to be, or my the rest of the equation must also be in terms of cents. So she spent 60 cents, 60 breads, it's X, plus 80 Y's, and that can be greater or smaller or equal to 1,200. Now let's simplify that. I can divide on both sides by 20, but so that would give me 3x plus 4y is smaller or equal to 60, and I've done what I wanted. Good. The next question says the number of loaves of bread must be greater than or equal to the number of cakes. So the bread must be greater or equal than the number of cakes. So we can rearrange that and write it as, oh, that's fine, x be greater or equal to y. We can probably rearrange that as y is smaller or equal to x. That would be actually a nicer equation to look at. Okay, so on the grid below, show the two inequalities by shading the unwanted region and write R in the required region. So this equation is very nice. Y is smaller or equal to x. I know that it would be just the line, the diagonal line here, because that's 20, that's 20, so that block, I'm just going to do it in the green cokey there. Okay, this is y is smaller or equal to x. And now they ask us, we have to draw the other inequality as well. And that one was 3x plus 4y equals 60. So I'm just going to use a sheet of paper here. Sorry, just bending down to find it. 3x plus 4y is smaller or equal to 60. 4y is smaller or equal to a negative 3x plus 60. Divide by 4 on both sides of my equation. Y is smaller or equal to negative 3 over 4x plus, let me quickly just do that, 15. Okay, good. So that's my question there. I know my y-intercept would be 15. My x-intercept would be where y is equal to 0. So 0, negative 3/4 x plus 15. So 3/4 x equals 15. And if I solve there, I know that x must be equal to 20. So my x-intercept is 20 and I know my y-intercept is 15. And I can quickly draw this. Okay, let's do that. So 20 is my x-intercept is 20, my y-intercept is 15. And there we go. And this equation is 3x plus 4y is smaller or equal to 60. Good. And now they ask us to label it. So we've got to test where would be the region. So I'm just selecting a point here. I'm selecting the point 4 and 2. And I'm going to substitute that point into the equations. Let's quickly have a look at it. So y is smaller or equal to 6. So 2 is smaller or equal to 4. And that is true. So this part would be part of a solution set. So I'm going to shade the unwanted region. Okay. Let's have a look at the next one. And that was 3x plus 4y is smaller or equal to 60. 3 times 4 plus 4 times 2. Is that smaller or equal to 60? Yes, it is definitely, because 12 plus 8 would give me 20. And that is true. So this part will be part of a solution set. That won't be part of my solution set. And I've done the question. Let me just show you like that. Maybe I can just do a bit more shading there. Okay. And that would be the R required interval or the required region that I want. Then the last one is, the last question for today is, the total number of loaves of bread and cakes is x plus y. Find the largest possible value of x plus y. So in the area, in the required region, we're going to look at the vertices. Okay, so this would be 0 and 0. That's not a large number. It's only 0. This one is 8.9 and another 7 of 8, or also about 8.9. Okay, if I add 8.9 and 8.9, I will get 16, 17 approximately. So let's have a look at this one. I will have 0y and 20x. That will give me 20. So the greatest possible value will be 20. Good, ladies and gents, that is all for tonight for this paper. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please complete your papers and hand it in for me on Monday.